I loved the third part of Simpsons Christmas Stories. The first part I quite liked, the middle one I didn't care for. This is the 9th episode of the 17th season of The Simpsons, directed by David Silverman and Stephen Dean Moore. And here we have 3 separate Christmas stories, but I will say it's all fresh content. It's not a clip show, it's not just a collection of previous clips. They are new stories. And it starts off pretty brilliantly, and it actually made me think something. It's Christmas Mass, and Reverend Lovejoy phones Flanders, who had his phone on in church. I feel like he wouldn't, but let's overlook that, and asks Ned to give the sermon, and Ned, well, he rips off his clothing and already has basically Reverend Lovejoy's animation underneath him. He's about to give the sermon, and it made me wonder, why did Flanders never become a vicar? I feel like that would suit him so well, to be some kind of clergyman. Maybe that's been answered before, I'm not sure, but it did just strike me as a missed opportunity. But he faints, for one reason or another. I won't explain everything, I don't want to spoil it too much. But then Homer steps up and delivers, well, a Christmas story. And it's the story of the Nativity. And I love the Nativity story, partly because I'm religious, I'm spiritual, but also because it takes me back to my childhood. I think I might have told this story before, but when my grandmother got a computer, which was before I got a computer, I used to type up a script to the Christmas Nativity. I loved it. So it takes me back to my childhood, so I really love that aspect of it. And I will say it's a pretty good telling. We have Marge as Mary, Homer as Joseph, Lisa as the angel Gabriel, and Bart as the baby Jesus. Part of me feels like Maggie might have suited that role a bit more, but then Maggie's being a girl, it wouldn't have worked. But yeah, one might not think of Bart as Jesus, but we have Burns as King Herod, and I won't explain any more of the characters' roles, I don't want to spoil it too much, but we do have a lot of other Simpsons characters in the story, and I think it worked quite well. And it is a quick telling because it lasts maybe 7 or 8 minutes before we move on to the next one, but I think they do a decent job of keeping the pace and telling the story as much as they can. The second story I didn't care for at all, and it's all about Grandpa's feud with Santa Claus that dates back to when he was fighting in the war. And part of me, I don't want to tell you any more than that because I don't want to spoil it, but also I just don't want to talk about it. I didn't care for it. I didn't think it was interesting. It didn't feel festive either, whereas the other 2 stories definitely did. And it was a weak link, and I feel like they could have removed that and just kept it as the Nativity and the next story and made both of those slightly longer, and it would have actually been pretty awesome. So the middle one, didn't care for. The third one is brilliant. It starts off with a performance of the Nutcracker at Springfield Elementary, and then about 30 seconds later it's afterwards. And after Lisa says that everybody does the Nutcracker because you don't have to pay for the music, Marge launches into a song, and then we have all of these different Simpsons characters doing various festive activities and singing songs to the music of the Nutcracker, and I love it so much. I actually don't care about the Nutcracker that much as a performance, but the music is obviously great, and the characters, there are so many different characters involved, and the songs are great. Moe was brilliant, Homer was brilliant, Marge was awesome. Really thoroughly enjoyed it so much that I absolutely loved it, and it kind of made me think this was an amazing episode. It almost made me forget the middle segment, because when I was watching the middle segment I was thinking, okay, the first half is okay, this second story is not that good, but then we launch into this third one and I devoured it to the point where I think I'm going to go back to Disney Plus after talking about it and watch that section again, because I just absolutely adored every second of it. It's fun, it's creative, the lyrics are great, it's festive. Everywhere you look there's snow and Christmas decorations and trees and presents, and it's wonderful. Absolutely love it. So as a whole, the episode is up and down. The Nativity story, really enjoyed. Grandpa's story, didn't care for. And then the Nutcracker section, loved it to pieces. So definitely mixed emotions about all 3 segments. Ultimately, it's not a bad episode, but the middle story could have been either removed and extended the other two stories, or replaced with something a bit more fun and festive and, I don't know, a bit more interesting. But generally, Simpsons Christmas Stories is one I'd happily watch again.